The emergency meeting convened in the abandoned ammunition storage room beneath the armory, the one place in Blackthorn where surveillance equipment routinely failed. Okafor had suggested it with the grim efficiency of someone who'd planned for this conversation years ago. Kael spread the printed files across the dusty workbench like evidence at a murder trial. Photos of fragment bearers marked deceased. Technical specifications for dimensional breach protocols. Budget allocations that treated human lives as acceptable losses. Each document felt heavier than lead in his hands. "So," he said quietly. "Now you know what we found." Ghost materialized from the shadows, her form flickering with barely contained rage. The partial phasing made her look like a glitching hologram. 17 people, Kael. 17 fragment bearers harvested over 2 years. And we're sitting here having tea with the woman who ordered it. Ren adjusted his glasses nervously, tablet balanced on his knees as he cross-referenced the data. The dimensional breach calculations they're actually brilliant. Horrifying, but brilliant. She didn't just stumble into causing the fracture, she engineered it. 2.3 million projected casualties, Sable said, her voice hollow. She stood with her back against the wall, hard light constructs flickering around her fingers in agitated patterns. "She killed my parents for an energy experiment." The golden light died in her palms. For the first time since Kael had known her, Sable Voss looked fragile. Commander Okafor sat heavily on an overturned supply crate, his prosthetic arm gleaming in the room's pale emergency lighting. The silence stretched until Ghost's phasing stabilized long enough for her to slam her fist against the workbench. "Say something," she snarled at the commander. "Tell us this is fabricated. Tell us Hallam's not running a collection operation." Okafor's shoulders sagged. "I can't." The admission hit the room like a physical blow. Ren's tablet slipped from nerveless fingers. Sable's back straightened against the wall as if she'd been struck. The commander's biometric patterns indicate significant emotional distress, the frequency observed with clinical detachment. Guilt. Fear. Long-term psychological burden. "You knew," Ghost whispered. Her form flickered more violently. "You fucking knew." "I suspected." Okafor's voice was rough gravel. "Fragment 7, the signal, it showed me fragments of the truth before I severed the connection. Communications between core leadership. Budget allocations that didn't match public records. References to facilities that didn't officially exist." He raised his prosthetic arm, artificial joints moving with mechanical precision. "Why do you think I cut this off? The signal wasn't trying to control me. It was trying to warn me." Sable pushed away from the wall, hard light flickering around her like angry lightning. "The core is supposed to protect people. We're supposed to be the good guys." "We are," Okafor said quietly. "Most of us. Field commanders, operational staff, 90% of the organization genuinely believes in the mission. But at the highest levels." He gestured helplessly at the scattered documents. "Power corrupts. Always." Ren retrieved his tablet with shaking hands. "The facility designation says 5 containment cells are occupied. That means 5 fragment bearers are still alive. For now." Ghost's form solidified as her rage focused. "How long before Hallam decides she has enough data? How long before those cells go from containment to disposal?" Query: "What is the recommended response protocol?" The frequency asked with genuine curiosity. Direct confrontation appears inadvisable given power disparity. The question hung in the air like smoke. Run and become fugitives. Fight an organization with global resources and government backing. Pretend ignorance while people died in Hallam's labs. "We play along," Kael said finally. "For now." Ghost whirled on him. People are dying. More people will die if we move too fast. Kael met her blazing stare. Hallam has 5 fragment bearers in containment. If we tip our hand before we know where that facility is, what happens to them? The boy's right, Okafor said heavily. Direct action gets those prisoners killed and exposes you to capture. We need intelligence. We need allies. We need a plan that doesn't end with everyone in cells. Sable crossed her arms, hard light still crackling around her fingers. So what? We smile and pretend everything's normal while she experiments on people. We gather evidence, Ren said, surprising everyone with his firmness. Document everything. Build a case that can't be buried or explained away. And we find that facility. Meridian Research Station, Kael read from the documents. Coordinates are encrypted, but it has to be connected to the core supply network. Food, power, personnel transport, we can trace those. Logical approach, the frequency agreed. Systematic intelligence gathering increases success probability. Ghosts form flickered between solid and translucent. Fine. We play along. But if I find out they're torturing fragment bearers while we sit on our hands, then we burn it all down, Okafor said with quiet steel. Every last facility. Every classified program. But we do it smart. They were preparing to leave when Okafor's voice stopped them at the door. There's something else. The commander's face had gone pale, his prosthetic arm trembling slightly. The facility where she keeps the previous bearers. It's not some distant black site. His voice dropped to barely above a whisper. It's under this outpost. Sublevel 9. I've heard them screaming.